Well, thanks for visiting us this morning at ArkLaTexHomepage.com. I'm meteorologist Josh Marces with your Tuesday morning forecast update. Our flash flood watch is continuing for the northern ArkLaTex today. A lot of other areas have been trimmed from the watch, including Shreveport, where we are no longer in the flash flood watch, but we still may see some rain in Shreveport today. And the northern ArkLaTex is included in the watch, including Texarkana until 7 p.m. The watch calling for an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain. Again, it won't be everywhere that sees 2 to 4 inches of rain, but it just means somewhere in the watch area today we could see those thunderstorms that do produce a little bit of flash flooding. Speaking of that, we did have some reports of flash flooding late yesterday and overnight in McCurtain County. In fact, the 911 call center, they're reporting that there have been a lot of abandoned vehicles in the high water there, so we know there's a lot of high water on the roadways in McCurtain County. No longer under a flash flood warning there, but there is a warning just off to the west of us, and these thunderstorms are likely going to continue, especially between Idabel and Batiste. So if you're in the Broken Bow area, Wright City popping up there as well. I do think you are going to stay in the rain for several hours this morning, so I do expect we will see some additional flash flooding issues there in McCurtain County since the ground is so saturated at this point, and we do have some storms just off to the east of us. We'll probably see the radar fill in a little bit here north of I-30, so that's where we'll be looking out for the rain for the morning commute. Further to the south, we are pretty much dry everywhere else in East Texas as well as Louisiana. Where we're drier, we're a little bit warmer, mid-70s for Mansfield, low 70s for Texarkana and Shreveport, and there is some fog out there as well, so you can see some dense fog through the I-20 corridor and extending down to the Natchitoches area as well. So that will be something these areas not dealing with the rain, but you'll have to deal with some fog this morning across the rest of the region. And overall look at satellite radar, we've got one more complex of storms back here in the Dallas area, which will send in an outflow boundary a little bit later today. When you combine that with the warm temperatures, we will see some scattered storms in the ArkLaTex due to that. That will probably be much later in the day today. At least in the short term, we're kind of watching this area of low pressure, which will likely trigger that initial round of storms across the ArkLaTex this morning. So I wanted to show you the rainfall totals before we get to Futurecast. Again, the rainfall amounts here likely going to be in the 2-inch range for quite a few areas. One of the model trends we've seen this morning is to kind of push the heavy rain off to the east. So again, it wouldn't be out of the question that we saw some areas pick up maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain, and that just depends kind of on where the overall band of thunderstorms we're expecting sets up today. But this gives you a pretty good idea that the thunderstorms will get going here in Arkansas. Again, our severe weather threat is not as high as yesterday, but we can't rule out some high wind here between I-20 and I-30 in Louisiana as well as southern Arkansas. So here is a look at Futurecast, and again, it did pretty well with the coverage of the storms yesterday. It is showing some scattered storms popping up today. Now it is showing this band of storms developing across the I-30 corridor. The way it's looking now, I think this may be a little bit further to the north, but either way, 10 o'clock this morning, Futurecast showing decent potential to see some rain in Texarkana as well as Shreveport. Notice once we get into the afternoon, the rain starts to shift off to the east a little bit, so I think we'll dry out here, which is why the temperatures will be a little bit warmer south of I-20, but we'll likely still see some scattered storms in that watch area later this evening, and maybe even some additional activity popping up late tonight. But this will be it. It's pretty much the last push of the rain. Here's our in-house model combined with the other forecast model that I just showed you, and it's kind of hinting at the rain still going later today north of Interstate 20 as well, while the rest of us start to dry out. And a look at your Wednesday, where we finally have some dry air taking over tomorrow, so I think we'll start to see some improvements. We'll have to deal with a little bit of heat. And again, here's another forecast model. I believe this is our in-house model here, which is showing again the heavier rain kind of pushing off to the east today as well. So we're starting to see some consistency with the forecast models. Look at your highs today, which will likely wind up in the 80s. Where the rain sets up today, it is possible we can see some locations held in the 70s, but the expectation is we may dry out this afternoon with the sun popping back out in Shreveport, so that will push us into the upper 80s. May have a few 90s today south of Interstate 20, and get used to the 90-degree temperatures. They are here to stay once we get into the day tomorrow. Likely the low 90s through the upcoming weekend as well. We have a cold front late in the weekend, which will turn our wind to the north and maybe help out with the humidity late this weekend, early next week, but we'll stay warm. And again, the rainfall not too impressive, but we do have some scattered storms in the forecast by Sunday.